Okay, so I wanted to show that I replaced, I don't know if you can see my little pointer there, I replaced these lower springs. They're blue anodized and they're stiffer than the regular springs, quite a bit stiffer. That's going to keep this truck sitting up the way it is. It shouldn't sit too low, shouldn't have too much issues flexing, articulating, but it'll keep it sitting level and keep it from twisting side to side. I think the upper spring here is stock. The upper rear spring right there is extra heavy duty too, so that's going to keep the back level better. I don't remember where I got those blue anodized springs, but those lower springs are blue. But I also wanted to show on the Raptor with the extra tall springs that go for the PO2, I found some upper springs that are super heavy duty compared to any of the Orlandoo springs, and I have them front and rear. The lower springs are heavy duty also. They're out of ink pens, but this keeps it lifted off of the tires now, which has been an issue. It always wanted to sag down and sit on the body. The body was sitting down on the tires, and it just was never going to work like that. So this is going to keep it lifted up, although it's got no real articulation. That's not the goal with this truck, and I'm probably going to have to figure out something else to keep it from twisting side to side. I don't know yet. But yeah, I'm about to show where those upper springs come from. You take these kind of disposable lighters, the kind that have the click instead of flint, and you can break it if you want, but the way I figured out the easiest way is you'll see this slot right here. You want to cut this little piece right here. I've already cut this right here, and then same on the back side. You just want to cut in there, and then you take a pair of pliers, needle nose pliers, regular pliers, doesn't matter, and you pop this thing apart and pull this out. This piece has a tiny little spring in there. It's kind of useless for the Orlandoos. Not sure what it could be used for. I have piles of them because I've done this before. Always wait till your lighter's dead and doesn't have any fluid left. But anyway, after you take that out, you can see down in there is a bigger spring. Use some needle nose tweezers or something and slide that spring out, and you have, this is garbage now, unless you want that little piezo out of there. But yeah, you have a kind of a goldish colored spring that is pretty stiff. Let me get this to focus. It's a pretty stiff spring. It doesn't have hardly any give to it. It'll always spring back. It doesn't fit over the metal shaft part of these shocks right here. You have to, I used a sculpting tool, that tapered part up here, slide it over it, try and get this to focus, slide it over it and shove it on there and twist it. And once you get it pushed up on there, I'm giving it hell too. I mean, you gotta really twist it up on there. You can see how it's basically expanded that end. That will slide over those threads now of this part of the shock, and it doesn't cause a binding or anything. It will work fine. It does, like I said, it does have a little give to it. It'll work on these shocks, the shorter ones. It'll work on these. It'll work on the big truck, the big tall shocks. It just depends how stiff you want your suspension. And for these two trucks in particular, I need the suspension to be kind of stiff. So that's going to be my solution there. And I'll try and get this to focus again so you can see they do bend a little, or squish, whatever you want to call it. They're springs, but they're stiff. They're going to work great for what I need. So just thought I'd throw that little pointer out there and a little tip on where to get some really heavy duty springs. They're way stronger than ink pen springs. I have not found any that strong. That was the stiffest ones I could find. And yeah, I always take lighters apart for the little aluminum pieces. My little tin full. These little aluminum pieces are from lighters. I use those for exhaust tips. I've used them for spacers. My blue Jeep has them on the shocks for spacers. The bed of my Tundra has them as bed floor risers to give me a little more clearance for the rear steer. That's the aluminum pieces out of lighters. My green Jeep has them as exhaust tips. I've used them for velocity stacks on 125 scale models. Yeah. Anyway, the springs are. I finally found a use for the little springs out of the clickers. So thought I'd share that. So that's everything. I mean, really liking the way that looks, and with the 60 millimeter axles. Wheels reversed like this, 88 millimeters, 89 millimeters wide. Those shocks should reach just fine, and the links right here that were on my Raptor will work, I'm pretty sure. And you can see up in there where I've mounted the upper springs to the chassis. They will be angled way out here like this. So it'll still have some articulation, but it should be stiffer than the way it was. And I really like the way the dark blue anodized looks on these springs. I know it's not showing up very good on my phone, but they are dark blue. They really look good on there, so kind of gives it a contrast. I like it. So just wanted to share. Thanks for watching.